those injuries? It feels like you're dealing with it disproportionately.
Yeah, well, the first thing, I'm glad none of them are serious or long-term, right? A lot of them are cautionary. A lot of them are little things here and there that certainly makes it more frustrating when it throws your plan off. But that's kind of our deal. Is you got to have its contingency, right? Plan B or plan C, and then you got to make adjustments sometimes on the fly. And what it has allowed is for young players to really develop and get a lot of experience going against James Thompson or the first team defense, Gabe Akis, and those guys, and that's kind of been it's incredibly valuable, right, for a young player like a Mike McDonough, or even we've gotten TJ back after his spring recovery and rehab, and for him to get a lot of work against those one nose guards, that's been great. And all the different looks we're seeing and things like that. Normally those guys would be getting scout reps or mop-up time, and now they're getting really meaningful reps in camp. So that's been really helpful in terms of that. It's going to pay dividends in the longer rounds. Makes for a little frustrating when you're trying to, kind of develop that too deep. But we'll get those guys back, and we already have this week, so that's been good.
You guys seem excited about Dennis Schuster's first week fully back. What has he shown you? What excites you about what he can bring?
Yeah, Des, well, number one, just the success he's having now after a really pretty tough 2 years, right? Mentally coming in, there was a lot of excitement. Him coming in, he was a great junior college player, and we were really excited about him, and obviously had a couple medical things early on in his career. So just the fact that he's healthy again and playing, confidently, and but his versatility. I mean, he came in as a guard. He's playing a lot of tackle for us right now, which is great. So he's got really good length, ability to bend, and he's shown some power off the line of scrimmage. So that's been really kind of a bright spot. Is maybe an unexpected bright spot is his ability to move out to a different position. I knew he would have some success at the guard spot where he got recruited to, but for him to move outside and have a lot of success outside has been very helpful for us. So really encouraged by him, and just trying to get him as many reps as possible right now.
Kind of the same thing with Brandon Hanson. Has been playing multiple positions for you. How valuable is that to have him? And is he kind of your sixth guy right now? Or?
Well, I don't know if we're ready to just I guess declare that depth chart move right now. But he is versatile. He's played both sides of the line, but can play tackle and then guard obviously as well. He's obviously in the competition with Brandon Henderson earlier in camp, and so he's repped a little bit at both spots, and they just got him back from a little brief injury too. So trying to get him back in conditioning again and play with some power. He had a day that required some constructive criticism yesterday. We'll say that, and I met with him quite a bit last night, and then today he came out and practiced really well. So I'm encouraged. Certainly got a tremendous amount of talent, and you see where he can go these next couple weeks.
Sounds like Brandon Henderson he's locked in now at right guard. Would you say? And what did he do to win that position back?
Well, I think Brandon has come out and answered some of the challenges we've set before him. Some of his technique consistencies, playing with his pad level more, and using his hands more and things, and he's really performed well. He's matured as a player, and we're still working on pieces like that, but he's gotten a lot better in some of those areas that maybe were deficiencies last year. If you turn on the film and look at some of the things he got, maybe at times in bad body positions, or at times maybe manhandling certain things, it wasn't because he didn't have the skill set. It's because he's out of position, or his pad level's too high, or he doesn't use his hands or something like that. So just the fundamentals, he's been much more consistent this fall. And he hasn't made a ton of mistakes. We're still growing there, still getting him better, and he's done a nice job this camp.
What was your plan for Eddie as he transitioned into your room?
Well, I think Eddie would be a fantastic guard for us. I said that in recruiting and lost out on that battle early on, but always was impressed with just the use of his tools that he had on when he was on the look teams, or when we did go against him when he was on defense. I thought he was strong. I thought he was powerful. I thought he used his hands well. And then he's naturally he's one of our leading guys in the weight room. He's got the mindset kind of an old lineman anyway, and he's very intelligent too. He's done a nice job learning our offense. So for him to get him, and obviously we didn't have him this spring. He was dealing with an injury, but back in the fall camp early on, had a little dust up. He should be back here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited to see where he can go, because I do think he has the skill set to be a really good interior player for us.
When you get somebody like that making a positional transition into your room, do you have to treat him differently than a lot of guys, or it's not like offensive line was completely foreign to him or anything like that?
No, that's a great question though. But there is differences. There's little nuances to each position, right? The way he moves as a D lineman is not, although the skill sets will transfer, the movements are different, right, to O-line to D-line. So once you get him learning how to move with a base instead of trying to, burst up the field in a sprint or be linear, move with a base, being able to sink his hips post-contact, trigger off on a double team. I mean, there's things like that you just have to learn, but through experience and knowing. But he's done a nice job of kind of getting those mental reps, and then early on was really pleased with some of the skill sets that did transfer. Like I told, like the use of your hands, his power off the line, his hips explosion. And, he's really. I'm very encouraged by that. I'm excited to see what we do when we get him back because I do think he's got a bright future.
You mentioned Des came in here as a guard. I didn't think of him as a tackle, so that was almost surprised when he's out there. I know he's got the arms, but is there anything that surprised you about his ability to play there? Why'd you want to try him?
Well, two things. Number one is length. He's got 37-inch arms, so that's crazy long. But he's very fluid. He's very athletic for a guard, and he does show the ability to bend. So a little bit out of necessity, when he came back, and because we were heavy on the interior, and so what could give him the best chance to be successful, what can help us the most. And I watched him kind of set as he was going through some of his conditioning and early stuff before he got cleared to practice, and just how linear he could move, in his pass set, I was pretty impressed with. So I said, let's try him to tackle and use his length, and he's done a nice job there. So now just working both sides, trying to get him ready to play, because he's been very familiar with the right side. Got to get him a little bit more familiar with the left. And but yeah, I've been pleased with what I've seen so far.
What could his emergence as a potential swing tackle? It's a bigger guy. It's more proven. What can that mean for you guys?
Well, it's everything, right? I mean, a backup tackle spot, a backup center spot, a backup interior guy. Those are just as vital positions, And every year that we've been here, every year in college football, you're going to need more than just the five. We were fortunate last year because we didn't have a lot of long-term injuries, but we had a play or two where guys went out, or a week you might get a tweak here and there, and having a guy that you trust that's really not a step down by any stretch, but a guy that could potentially, if he was there all year, could have competed for a starting job. That adds a tremendous amount of value to the room. So now, instead of five guys, we're trying to find a sixth. Now you have 7, 8, 9 potentially guys that could go in, and now it helps you on the field goal unit. It helps you in practice. It helps you, all across the board.
Probably repeat, but Brandon Henderson used to maybe be that versatile guy for you. And people said this. Really, it was kind of focusing him on playing right guard. What was important about maybe giving him maybe a singular position to really lock in?
Well, I think it was fair for him, if we're going to ask him to compete for a starting role in one position. I think that was the fair thing to do, to say, hey, instead of having to worry about playing 3 different spots and, by the way, compete, let's focus on being the best player you could possibly be at this one spot. And he does have a skill set that we can move him inside the center, we can move him outside the tackle, and he's so versatile. So you have that in an emergency, you have that in your back pocket, but you want him to focus on something and be truly great at it. And he had a chance to become a starter this year, and I didn't want to take that opportunity away from him, just because I didn't want to punish him for being versatile.
Has there been, sorry, go ahead.
I asked you about Josh Creech's note-taking for years. What's it like watching film with him?
It's like having another coach or another football mind with you. Like he knows the game well. He knows what he's watching. That's another thing. They're not just watching it like you would on TV. He's studying details of things and how defensive linemen move, how the opposing center that he's watching does something, like how effective that move was, or he'll look at coverages. He'll see, hey, when he lines up to this, he'll notice patterns. So he looks at it like a coach would. And so when we are going through film, we are talking about things. You make 1 or 2 corrections, or I show him one clip and he has it. Whereas some maybe a guy that's less experienced or hasn't had that type of background, it's constant teach tapes, it's constant worksheets, it's walking through and things like that. So just his knowledge base allows you to teach much more, specifically to what he needs to see that moment.
What is Byron's impact on JC in particular? I know they have a relationship. What do you see? Just that relationship impact?
Well, I would say the relationship that they have is special. He's known him since he was really young. Different school. They kind of came, not necessarily together, but at the same time, and that so they kind of experienced this place together at the same time. But he pushes him very, very well, very hard, and they do have a relationship. And JC is obviously a tremendous young man, and the way you can coach him and get on him. And the way he answers, and that's been a joy. So he's really done. He can kind of go on the back channels and talk to him, privately and get the most out of him. But I would tell you, Byron Bell's influence on all of our roster, not just the O-line, but the scout D-line, or even I saw him talking to Trey Petty the other day. I saw him talking to a DB the other day. I saw him talking to a linebacker in his office the other day. Just the influence he has on the players here is tremendous, and it's a huge asset to my room, because those guys, if I'm caught in scripting, or if I'm caught in game plans or something, or recruiting, he can take that time and go one-on-one with them. And he's played at the highest level, and we played together. We played for the same guy. We're from the same tree, so it's a continuation. And then he adds that whole NFL element as well, and his ability to relate to young people is a huge asset for our program.
Maybe a question without an answer at this point, but has there been any discussions about the long-term plan for Aiden Knappich, to play or not to play, or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. There's been talks about it. I don't know if we're ready to make those decisions just yet. But yeah, we've talked about some things, and that's one of the great things about his situation. Obviously, brought his brother in too. There's a lot of different things that can happen and play out, and combinations that could exist. And as we get some guys back too, that will help kind of define maybe that too deep, and then help us kind of formulate a plan moving forward on that one.
Thanks, Bert.